Welcome to BL Hub. If you're a lover of boys' love stories or you do kick your legs while watching two men kissing, then you are at the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share before we dive into this story. Thank you.
The screen lit up at exactly 11:47 p.m. I wasn't trying to snoop. I swear. Jian was in the shower, humming some off-key pop song he'd been obsessed with since high school. His phone had been buzzing non-stop on the nightstand for the last 10 minutes. Annoying enough that I finally reached over, intending to switch it to silent. That's all. Just silence the damn thing so we could sleep. The screen woke under my thumb. No passcode. He'd removed it months ago because we trust each other, right way? Famous last words. A WeChat notification sat right in the center like it had been waiting for me. Xiaoyu * I love you. Come over after he falls asleep? I miss your stupid face already Blackheart. The heart emoji was black. Xiaoyu only used black hearts when he was feeling extra dramatic. My Xiaoyu. My best friend since we were 13 and he punched a guy who called me girly for having long eyelashes. My Xiaoyu, who cried on my shoulder the night his dad kicked him out. My Xiaoyu, who still slept over at my place sometimes when he drank too much, curled against my side like a human heater. The bathroom door opened. Steam rolled out. Jian stepped into the bedroom wearing only gray sweatpants, towel around his neck, smiling that easy, crooked smile that used to make my stomach flip. Hey, you okay? You look like you saw a ghost. I stared at him. Really looked. At the faint red mark on his collarbone that I hadn't noticed before because I hadn't looked hard enough. At the way his eyes flicked to the phone in my hand for half a second, barely noticeable, but now it was all I could see. I was just checking the time, I said. My voice sounded far away. He laughed softly. You're so cute when you're sleepy and grumpy. He leaned down to kiss my forehead. I turned my face away. The motion was small, automatic, but it felt like I'd slapped him. Jian froze. Way. I held the phone up, screen still glowing. His smile disappeared in stages. First the corners, then the eyes, then the whole expression collapsed into something tired and guilty. He didn't even try to lie. How long? My voice cracked on the second word. Jian exhaled through his nose. 6 months. 6 months. I laughed. Not a happy sound. More like something choking. 6 months, I repeated, while I was planning our anniversary dinner next week. While I told my mom we were thinking about moving in together after graduation. While I stopped. The list was too long and every item hurt worse than the last. Jian sat on the edge of the bed, not touching me. I didn't plan it. It just happened. Bullshit. The word tasted like metal. You don't accidentally sleep with someone for half a year. He winced. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry. One word. 4 letters. Supposed to fix 6 months of lies. I stood up. My legs felt like someone else's. Where are you going? He asked quietly. To Xiaoyu's. I want to hear it from him too. Jian's head snapped up. Wade, don't. Too late. I grabbed my jacket, phone, keys. You already made sure I heard it from him first. The door slammed behind me harder than I meant. Outside, the November air bit my cheeks. I walked fast, almost running, toward the subway station. My thumb hovered over Xiaoyu's contact 17 times before I finally pressed call. It rang twice. Gidge. His voice was soft, sleepy, happy. You're calling so late. Miss me already? I stopped under a street lamp. The light turned my shadow long and broken. Open the door in 20 minutes, I said. We need to talk. The pause. A rustle of sheets. Okay. He didn't ask why. He already knew. I hung up. The train was half empty. I sat in the corner, knees pulled up, staring at the black window that reflected my face back at me, pale, eyes red-rimmed, mouth tight. 6 months. They'd been careful. No obvious hickeys on Jian's neck when we went out. No sudden disappearances. No weird perfume. Just small things I'd ignored because I loved them both. Xiaoyu always hugged me a second too long. Jian always checked his phone face down. They both laughed at the same stupid memes at the same time. I told myself it was because they got along so well. Because they were comfortable. Because we were all best friends. Stupid. So fucking stupid. The train announced my stop. I got off on automatic pilot. Xiao Yu's apartment building smelled like instant noodles and laundry detergent, same as always. I climbed the stairs instead of taking the elevator, needed the burn in my thighs to match the burn in my chest. When I reached his floor, the door was already cracked open. Light spilled into the hallway. I pushed it wider. Xiao Yu stood in the middle of the living room in an oversized hoodie, mine, I realized with a fresh stab, and basketball shorts. Hair messy. Eyes wide and frightened. He looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. Gidge, he started. Don't. I held up a hand. Just, don't. He swallowed. Nodded once. I stepped inside. Closed the door behind me with a soft click that sounded final. Silence stretched. Then I asked the only question that mattered. Did you ever love me? Even a little? Xiao Yu's face crumpled. And just like that, the three of us, me, Jian, him, were over. Xiao Yu didn't move from the center of the room when I shut the door. He just stood there, arms hanging loose at his sides, hoodie sleeves swallowing his hands. The black fabric had my high school basketball number stitched on the sleeve in faded white thread, number 7. I'd given it to him after our last game together because he said he wanted something that smelled like me. Back then it was a joke. Now it felt like evidence. I dropped my keys on the shoe cabinet. The clatter was too loud in the quiet. Sit, I said. He obeyed immediately, sinking onto the edge of the couch like his legs had given up. I stayed standing. Couldn't sit. If I sat, I might never stand up again. Neither of us spoke for a full minute. The wall clock ticked. It was the cheap plastic one we'd bought together at a night market 3 years ago because it had a cat face and we thought it was hilarious. Now the cat just stared at us with empty black eyes. Finally, Xiao Yu whispered, I didn't want you to find out like this. Then how did you want me to find out? My voice came out sharper than I intended. A PowerPoint presentation? A joint Instagram post? Sorry, Gidge, we're in love now. Here's a carousel of our secret dates. He flinched. I was going to tell you. Next month. After your birthday. I laughed again, that same ugly, broken sound. Oh, perfect timing. You were going to ruin my birthday and then comfort me. Very thoughtful. Stop. His voice cracked. Please stop. I stepped closer. Close enough to see the way his lashes were wet, the way his bottom lip trembled like it used to when we were kids and he was trying not to cry in front of the older boys. Why him? I asked. The question had been burning since the train. Of all people. Why Jian? Xiao Yu looked up at me then. Really looked. Eyes red, pupils blown wide with guilt and something else, something desperate. Because he saw me the way you never did. The words landed like a slap. I actually took a step back. What the hell does that mean? You've always looked at me like I'm your little brother. Your responsibility. The kid you have to protect. He dragged both hands through his hair, tugging. I get it. I needed that for years. But somewhere along the way I stopped being that kid. And you never noticed. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Xiao Yu kept going, voice getting smaller. Jian. He looked at me like I was someone he wanted. Not someone he had to fix. Not someone fragile. Just messy, annoying, loud me. I felt the floor tilt under me. So you slept with my boyfriend because he gave you attention? No, he stood up suddenly. We were only a meter apart now. I fell in love with him because he made me feel wanted. And I hated myself for it every single day. Silence again. Thicker this time. I searched his face for the lie. For the excuse. For anything that would let me hate him cleanly. All I saw was the same boy who'd once spent 3 nights in the hospital waiting room when my appendix burst, refusing to leave even when the nurses told him visiting hours were over. All I saw was Xiao Yu. And that hurt worse than anything. I turned away, walked to the kitchenette. Opened the fridge just to have something to do. Inside, half a carton of the soy milk I liked, a container of the mapo tofu he always burned the garlic in, 2 bottles of the cheap beer Jian preferred. I slammed the door shut. How many times? I asked the fridge. Too many. Try again. Xiao Yu's voice came from right behind me. I hadn't heard him follow. Every time you had late study sessions. Every time you went home to your parents for the weekend. Every time you trusted us enough to leave us alone together. He sounded like he was strangling on every word. I kept count at first. Then I stopped because the number made me sick. I spun around. Our chests almost touched. Did you laugh at me? My voice was barely above a whisper. When I talked about our future. When I showed you apartment listings. When I said I wanted us to adopt a dog someday, you, me, and Jen. Did you two look at each other behind my back and laugh? No, tears finally spilled over. We never laughed. We just hurt. Both of us. All three of us. I reached up without thinking. Wiped the tear track off his cheek with my thumb. The motion was automatic. Muscle memory from years of comforting him. He caught my wrist. Held it there against his face. Don't, he breathed. Don't be kind to me right now. I don't deserve it. I didn't pull away. We stood like that. His hand around my wrist, my palm against his wet cheek, for what felt like forever. Then he leaned in. Just a fraction. Enough that I could feel his shaky exhale on my lips. I froze. He froze too. Eyes wide. Realizing what he'd almost done. I'm sorry, he whispered against my mouth. I'm so fucking sorry. And then he kissed me. Not soft. Not sweet. Desperate. Like a man drowning and I was the last breath of air. I didn't push him away. I kissed him back. Harder. Angrier. Teeth clashing, fingers digging into his hoodie, pulling him closer until there was no space left for guilt or lies or Jen. It tasted like salt and regret and everything we'd both been too scared to name for years. When we finally broke apart, both gasping, foreheads pressed together, he was shaking so badly I thought he might collapse. I've wanted to do that since we were 17, he confessed in a rush. And now I've ruined everything. I closed my eyes. Yeah, I said quietly. You have. But I didn't let go. Outside, a car horn blared. Someone laughed in the hallway. Life kept moving. Inside Xiao Yu's tiny apartment, time had stopped 6 months ago. And I didn't know how to start it again. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. After the kiss, after that stupid, furious, heartbreaking kiss, I slid down the wall beside Xiao Yu's fridge and stayed there until my legs went numb. He didn't try to touch me again. Just sat on the floor across from me, knees drawn up, staring at the space between us like it was a live wire. At some point the sky outside turned the bruised purple of pre-dawn. My phone had died somewhere between the train and his building. I didn't care. Jian had probably texted. Or called. Or both. I didn't want to know what flavor of apology he was serving at 4 a.m. Xiao Yu finally spoke, voice hoarse. You should hate me. I do. He nodded like that was fair. Good. But I didn't leave. Around 7 the doorbell rang. We both flinched. Xiao Yu looked at me with wide, panicked eyes. It's him. How do you know? Because he always comes when I don't answer for too long. The bell rang again. Then knocking. Not angry. Xiao Yu stood up slowly. Looked at me like he was asking permission. I didn't give it. I just stood too. He opened the door. Jian stood there in the same gray sweatpants from last night, hoodie thrown on haphazardly, hair still sleep mussed. Dark circles under his eyes. He looked like he hadn't slept either. His gaze went straight past Xiao Yu to me. Wei. One word. Packed with everything. I crossed my arms. What do you want? To talk. We're talking. Jian stepped inside without asking. Xiao Yu closed the door behind him. The click sounded like handcuffs. The three of us stood in a crooked triangle in the middle of the living room. No one sat. No one moved closer. Jian spoke first. I'm not here to beg you to take me back. But, because I won't. He nodded. I know. Xiao Yu made a small, wounded sound. Jian looked at him then, really looked, and something raw passed between them. Something I wasn't part of anymore. I came to say I'm sorry, Jian continued. Not because I think it'll fix anything. Just because you deserve to hear it from my mouth, not just his. I laughed, short and bitter. You rehearsed that? No. I've been saying it to myself all night. Silence stretched again. Then Xiao Yu, quiet, trembling, asked, "Are you going to hit him?" I blinked. "What? You look like you want to." I glanced down at my own fists. They were clenched so tight the knuckles were white. "Maybe I do." Jian didn't flinch. Just spread his arms slightly. "If it'll help." "Don't," I snapped. "Don't play martyr. You don't get to make this easier for yourself." He dropped his arms. "Okay." Xiao Yu stepped between us, not blocking, just there. "Stop. Both of you." We both looked at him. He was crying again. Silently this time. Tears just falling. "I'm the one who started it," he said. "I'm the one who kept it going. If anyone deserves to get hit, it's me." "No one's hitting anyone," I said through gritted teeth. "Then what happens now?" Xiao Yu's voice broke on the last word. "You walk out? We never speak again?" The three of us just vanish from each other's lives. The thought made my stomach lurch. I hated them both. I still loved them both. And that contradiction was going to kill me. Jian spoke quietly. "I'm moving out of our apartment. I already packed a bag. I'll stay with my cousin until I find a place." I stared at him. "You decided that already?" "Last night. After you left." "So you're just gone?" "If that's what you want." I wanted to scream that of course it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted the last 6 months to be a nightmare I could wake up from. I wanted the version of us where we laughed at bad dramas and shared late-night ramen and planned stupid trips we never took. But that version didn't exist anymore. Xiao Yu wiped his face with his sleeve. "My sleeve." "And me? What about me?" Jian looked at him for a long time. "I don't know," he said finally. "I love you. I still do. But I broke the best thing I ever had for it. So maybe I don't get to keep either of you." Xiao Yu made a choked sound. I turned away. Couldn't watch them look at each other like that. The cat clock ticked louder than it should have. Then Jian said the worst thing possible. "I think we should all take space. Real space. No texts. No calls. No showing up at each other's doors at dawn." Xiao Yu's head snapped up. "You're breaking up with both of us? I'm giving you both the chance to breathe without me poisoning the air." I spun back. "That's convenient for you. Maybe. But it's also the least selfish thing I can do right now." Xiao Yu shook his head. "No. I don't want space. I want..." He stopped. Looked at me. Looked at Jian. "I want both of you to stop looking at me like I'm the villain." "You kind of are," I said. "I know." His voice cracked open. "But I'm also the one who's been in love with you since high school, Gitch. And I'm the one who fell in love with Jian because he reminded me of you when you still looked at me like I mattered." The room went still. Jian exhaled shakily. "Xiao Yu? Don't." Xiao Yu held up a hand. "Don't say anything nice. I can't handle nice right now." I felt something inside me crack wide open. I walked to the window. Looked out at the gray morning. People going to work. Life happening. Behind me, Jian said softly, "I'll go." I didn't turn around. He walked past me. Paused at the door. "I'm sorry, Wei. For all of it." Then he was gone. The door closed. Xiao Yu sank to the floor again. Pulled his knees up. Buried his face. I stood there for a long time. Then I walked over. Sat beside him. Not touching. He didn't look up. After a while he whispered, "Do you hate me more now or less?" "Both." He let out a wet laugh. We sat like that until the sun came up properly. Neither of us moved. Neither of us knew what came next. The first week was the worst. I moved back to my parents' house without explanation. Told them Jian and I needed space, and left it at that. My mom asked once, saw my face and never asked again. My dad just handed me the spare key to my old room and said, "Doors always open, son." The room still smelled like teenage me, old manga spines, faint deodorant, the ghost of posters I'd torn down before university. I lay on the narrow bed staring at the ceiling crack that looked like a lightning bolt and tried not to think about how small my world had become. No texts from Jian. No texts from Xiao Yu. I'd blocked both their numbers the morning after Jian left the apartment. Not out of anger, out of survival. Every notification was a landmine. I went through the motions. Woke up, brushed teeth, ate whatever my mom put in front of me. Went to the library to pretend study for finals that suddenly felt irrelevant. Came home, stared at walls. Slept badly. By day 10 I started noticing things I'd never noticed before. The way the streetlights outside my window flickered at exactly 2:17 a.m. every night. How the neighbor's cat always sat on the same windowsill watching me like it knew. The exact shade of beige on my childhood bedsheets that used to feel comforting and now felt like suffocation. I dreamed about them every night. Not sexy dreams. Not even romantic ones. Just ordinary moments replayed wrong. Jian laughing at something stupid I said while Xiaoyu stole fries from my plate. The three of us on the rooftop bar last summer, shoulders touching, city lights below us like spilled stars. Xiaoyu asleep on my lap during a long train ride, Jian's hand resting casually on my knee. I woke up crying more often than I'd like to admit. On day 17 my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost deleted it without looking. Then I opened it. Unknown asterisk, it's me. New number. I'm not asking for anything. Just wanted you to know I'm alive. And I'm sorry. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Didn't reply. Blocked that number too. Day 23 I ran into a mutual friend at the convenience store near campus. Minji. She was buying ramen and soju like it was a personality trait. She saw me and froze. Weya. Hey. Awkward silence while the cashier scanned her items. She finally asked, "You okay?" No. She nodded like she'd expected that. Xiaoyu looks like death. Jian hasn't been to any group hangs. People are asking questions. Let them ask. She hesitated. They're not talking to each other either. Like at all. I shrugged. Good for them. Minji reached out, touched my arm lightly. You don't have to do this alone, you know. I kind of do. She left with her plastic bag swinging. I stayed in the aisle staring at instant coffee until the employee asked if I needed help. I bought nothing and walked home in the cold. Day 29 I cracked. I unblocked Xiaoyu's old number at 1:43 a.m. because I couldn't breathe around the silence anymore. Typed 7 different messages. Deleted them all. Finally sent one word. Me asterisk hi. It delivered. 3 dots appeared immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. Xiaoyu asterisk hi gij. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard I thought it would bruise. Another message came through. Xiaoyu asterisk I've been writing messages to you every night and never sending them. This feels like cheating. Me asterisk then stopped typing. Xiaoyu asterisk I can't. I stared at those 2 words until my eyes burned. Me asterisk where are you right now? Xiaoyu asterisk my apartment. Haven't left since yesterday. Me asterisk have you eaten? Xiaoyu asterisk not really. I closed my eyes. Counted to 10. Me asterisk I'm coming over. Xiaoyu asterisk you don't have to. Me asterisk I know. I grabbed my coat, slipped out past my sleeping parents, caught the last subway. The ride felt shorter than it should have. When I reached his building the door was unlocked again, like he'd been waiting. He was exactly where he said, curled on the couch in the dark, only the blue light from his phone screen lighting his face. He looked thinner. Eyes sunken. Hair a disaster. He didn't stand when I walked in. Just watched me like I might disappear if he blinked. I closed the door. Locked it. Walked over. Sat on the coffee table in front of him so our knees almost touched. Neither of us spoke for a long minute. Then he whispered, "You came." Yeah. Why? Because I'm tired of missing you both separately. His breath hitched. I reached out, slowly, touched his cheek. It was cold. You're freezing. I turned the heat off. Felt wrong to be warm when everything else is cold. I stood up. Went to the thermostat. Cranked it to 24. Then I went to the kitchen, opened the fridge. Still the same soy milk. Still the burned mapo tofu container. I pulled out eggs, green onions, whatever else I could find. Made simple egg fried rice the way my mom taught me when we were kids, and he stayed over after fighting with his dad. He watched me the whole time. Silent. When I set the bowl in front of him, he stared at it like it might bite. I said. He picked up the chopsticks with shaking hands. Took one bite. Then another. Then he was eating like he hadn't in days. I sat beside him on the couch. Not touching. Just close. When the bowl was empty, he set it down carefully. "Thank you." I nodded. Then quietly, "I don't forgive you yet." "I know. But I'm here." He turned to look at me. Eyes shining again. "That's enough for tonight." I stayed until he fell asleep against my shoulder, breathing soft and even. I didn't move. Just sat there in the quiet apartment that used to belong to the three of us, listening to his heartbeat against my arm, wondering if broken things could ever be put back together the same way. Wondering if I even wanted them to be. I woke up with Xiao Yu's head still heavy on my shoulder, his breath warm against my neck. The apartment smelled like cold fried rice and yesterday's laundry. The clock on the wall said 9:14 a.m., too late to pretend last night hadn't happened. I shifted carefully. He stirred, eyes fluttering open, then widening when he realized where he was. Who he was using as a pillow. "Gidge." His voice was thick with sleep and sudden panic. He jerked upright. "I didn't mean to fall asleep on you. You always do that." He rubbed his face hard, like he could scrub away the vulnerability. "I should have set an alarm or something." "Stop." I stood up. My shoulder ached from the awkward angle. "It's fine." It wasn't fine. Nothing was fine. But saying it out loud felt too exhausting. He watched me walk to the kitchen. I poured water into the kettle just to have movement. The silence stretched until the water started bubbling. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," he said behind me. I don't know how to exist without you in my life. Even if it's only like this." I turned the stove off. Didn't look at him. "Jian texted me last night," I said. Xiao Yu went very still. "What did he say?" "Nothing new. Just that he's sorry. Again." "Did you reply?" "No." A long exhale. "Good." I finally faced him. "Is it?" He shrugged one shoulder. "I don't know anymore." We stood there like strangers who used to know every scar. Then my phone buzzed on the coffee table, loud, insistent. Unknown number. I picked it up. "Unknown asterisk, it's raining hard. I'm outside your parents' house. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes." My stomach dropped. Xiao Yu saw my expression change. "Is that him?" I nodded once. He looked like he'd been punched. "Are you going?" "I don't know." He walked over, slow, like approaching something dangerous. "If you go, don't come back here after." "Not tonight." "Why not?" "Because I can't watch you choose him again. Not even for 5 minutes." The words landed heavy. I stared at the message. Raindrops were already hitting the window in fat, angry splats. Back. "Me asterisk, I'm not at my parents'. I'm at Xiao Yu's." 3 dots. Long pause. "Jian asterisk, I know." Of course he knew. He always knew where to find us. Another message. "Jian asterisk, I'm downstairs. In the stairwell. I won't come up unless you say yes." I looked at Xiao Yu. His arms were wrapped around himself like he was holding his own pieces together. "I'm going down," I said. He nodded. Didn't try to stop me. Just whispered, "Be careful." I took the stairs instead of the elevator. Each step echoed. Jian was sitting on the bottom step, elbows on knees, hoodie soaked through. Rain dripped from the ends of his hair onto the concrete. He looked smaller than I remembered. He stood when he saw me. Neither of us spoke for a second. Then he said, "You look tired." "So do you." He gave a half smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Yeah." I leaned against the wall. Arms crossed. "Why are you here?" "Because 30 days felt like 30 years and I still can't breathe right." I swallowed. "That's not my problem anymore." "I know." He stepped closer. Not touching. Just closer. "But I needed to see your face. Needed to know if you still hate me enough to make it permanent." "Do you want me to?" "No," his voice cracked. "But I'll accept it if that's what you need." Rain hammered the building. Water rushed down the gutter outside like it was trying to wash the whole city away. I asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Do you still love him?" Jian didn't flinch. "Yes." My chest tightened. "Do you still love me?" I asked quieter. "Yes." The word hung there. Simple. Brutal. I laughed once. Sharp, painful. That's inconvenient. I know. We stood in the dim stairwell light, rain drumming overhead. Then Jian reached into his pocket, pulled out a small velvet pouch. The kind you get from those claw machines at arcades. He opened it, tipped a thin silver ring into his palm. Plain. No stone. Just a band. I bought this 3 months ago, he said. Before everything exploded. I was going to give it to you on our anniversary. Matching ones. Stupid, right? I stared at the ring. It looked so small in his hand. I can't take that. I'm not asking you to wear it. He closed his fingers around it. I just needed you to see it. Needed you to know I wasn't lying when I said I wanted forever. Even if I ruined it. Tears burned behind my eyes. I refused to let them fall. What do you want now? I asked. Jian looked straight at me. I want both of you to be happy. Even if that means I'm not in the picture. That's bullshit. Maybe. But it's true. I stepped forward. Close enough that I could smell Rain and his shampoo, the same one we used to share. I kissed him, I said. No preamble. Last night. After you left. Jian's face didn't change. He just nodded slowly. I figured. You're not angry? I lost the right to be angry the first time I touched him behind your back. We were inches apart now. I reached up, touched the wet hair at his temple. He leaned into it like he'd been starving for contact. I don't know how to fix this, I whispered. Me neither. But I don't want to keep pretending I don't miss you. His eyes closed. A tear slipped free, mixed with rain, impossible to tell which was which. I leaned in. Our foreheads touched. We stayed like that, breathing each other's air. Not kissing. Not yet. Just existing in the same space without lies for the first time in months. After a long minute, Jian pulled back slightly. Go upstairs, he said softly. Tell him I was here. Tell him whatever you need to tell him. And you? I'll wait. However long it takes. I searched his face. You mean that? Yeah. I nodded once. Turned. Climbed the stairs. When I opened the door, Xiaoyu was standing right there, like he'd been listening at the crack. His eyes were red. He's still downstairs? Yeah. Xiaoyu swallowed. What did he say? That he loves us both. And he'll wait. Xiaoyu let out a shaky breath. And you? I stepped inside. Closed the door. I don't know what I want, I admitted. But I know I can't keep cutting pieces of myself off to punish you too. He looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I walked over. Took his hand. Cold fingers. Trembling. Come downstairs with me. His eyes widened. Both of us. Yeah. He searched my face for the trick. Found none. Then he nodded. We took the stairs together. Jian was still there. Soaked. Waiting. When he saw us both, his shoulders dropped. Like the weight of 30 days finally lifted just a fraction. No one spoke. We just stood in the rainy stairwell, 3 broken boys who used to be best friends, who used to be more, who maybe still could be. The rain kept falling. But for the first time in forever, it didn't feel like it was trying to drown us. The stairwell smelled like wet concrete and rust. Rain hammered the roof above us so hard it drowned out the city noise. The 3 of us stood there, me in the middle, Jian to my left, Xiaoyu to my right, like we were waiting for someone to declare the game over. No one moved for what felt like minutes. Then Xiaoyu spoke first, voice barely louder than the rain. I'm not sorry I love you both, he said. I'm only sorry I hurt you doing it. Jian exhaled slowly. Same. I looked between them. 2 faces I'd known half my life. 2 people who'd broken me and still felt like home. I don't want to choose, I said. The words came out rough, like I'd swallowed gravel. Tried. It almost killed me. Xiaoyu's eyes flicked to Jian, then back to me. What are you saying? I'm saying, maybe we don't have to choose. Maybe we figure out what this, I gestured between the 3 of us, actually looks like. Not the old version. Not the secret version. A new one. Jian's brows drew together. You mean, all 3? Yeah. Xiaoyu let out a shaky laugh that turned into a sob halfway through. You're insane, Gidge. Maybe. But I'm tired of pretending anything else makes sense. Silence again. Harpies. Jian was the one who stepped forward first. Not toward me, toward Xiaoyu. He reached out slowly, palm up. Xiaoyu stared at the offered hand like it might burn him. Then he took it. Jian's fingers closed gently around his. Xiaoyu's shoulders dropped like a string had been cut. I watched them hold hands and felt something loosen in my chest. Not jealousy, not exactly. Relief, maybe. That they could still touch without me having to disappear. Then Jian looked at me. I stepped closer. Jian's other hand found mine. Warm despite the cold. Familiar calluses from years of basketball and guitar strings he never really learned to play. Xiaoyu reached across with his free hand. Our fingers tangled awkwardly at first, too many knuckles, too much hesitation, then settled. 3 hands linked in the middle of a rainy stairwell. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't dramatic. No music swelled. No one kissed dramatically in the downpour. It was just trying. Jian spoke quietly. I'm not promising I won't fuck up again. I'm promising I'll try not to. Xiaoyu nodded. Same. I'm still messy. Still jealous. Still scared you'll both realize I'm too much. I squeezed both their hands. I'm still angry sometimes. I'll probably bring it up at the worst moments. But I'm here. We stood like that until the rain started to ease, softening from roar to steady patter. Eventually Jian said, we should go somewhere dry. Xiaoyu managed a small smile. My place has heat now. Thanks to Gidge. I rolled my eyes. Don't start. We climbed the stairs together. Slow. No one let go until we reached the door. Inside, the apartment felt different. Not fixed. Not perfect. But warmer. Xiaoyu went to make tea because his hands needed something to do. Jian peeled off his soaked hoodie and hung it on the back of a chair. I sat on the couch and watched them move around each other, careful but not afraid. When the tea came, we sat on the floor in a loose circle. Mugs steaming. Knees almost touching. No big declarations. Just small things. Jian said he'd canceled the lease on the new studio apartment he'd looked at. Xiaoyu admitted he'd been sleeping in my old hoodie every night. I told them I'd kept every stupid meme they'd ever sent me, even the ones that hurt to look at now. We talked about the hard stuff too. How we'd tell our friends, slowly, carefully. How we'd handle jealousy when it inevitably flared. How we'd rebuild trust one honest, ugly conversation at a time. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. No one said, and they all lived happily ever after. We weren't naive enough for that. But when the tea was gone and the rain had stopped, Xiaoyu leaned his head on my shoulder. Jian rested his against mine. Their hands found each other across my lap. We stayed like that until the sky turned the soft gray of early evening. Later, much later, when the apartment lights were low and we'd migrated to the couch in a messy pile of limbs, Jian pressed a slow kiss to my temple. Xiaoyu tilted his head up. I met him halfway. The kiss was gentle this time. No anger. No desperation. Just quiet certainty. Then Jian leaned over me to reach Xiaoyu. Their mouths met above my chest, soft, lingering, familiar to each other in ways that used to tear me apart but now felt like part of the same circle. I watched them, felt the warmth of both bodies against mine. And for the first time in months, breathing didn't hurt. We didn't have all the answers. We didn't even have most of them. But we had this. 3 people who'd hurt each other deeply and still chose to stay. 3 people learning, slowly, that love doesn't always come in neat pairs. Sometimes it comes in threes. Messy. Complicated. And maybe, just maybe, thank you everyone for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share for more interesting BL stories.